BBC News with Sue Montgomery. A top Russian general says the first stage of its campaign in Ukraine has been mostly accomplished, and it will now concentrate on eastern regions. Western officials say this suggests that President Putin knows his pre-war strategy of lightning attacks on multiple fronts has failed. The general, Sergei Rudskoy, said the focus of Russian forces would now be on what he called the liberation of the Donbass, areas held by Moscow-backed separatists in the east. A former NATO commander, Rear Admiral Dr. Chris Parry, doubted that explanation.
Any professional will say to you that's not really borne out by the actions on the ground, and they've been catastrophically failing their troops and also their politicians. They've not delivered the knockout victory that they were promising, and this is a catastrophic climb down by the general staff to say actually our war aims were just the Donbass. That's ridiculous. No professional is going to believe that.
European Union leaders have agreed for the first time to make joint gas purchases in response to surging prices, caused partly by the war in Ukraine. On the second day of their summit, heads of government authorised the European Commission to buy gas on behalf of member states. The Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen, said European countries were in a stronger bargaining position if they worked together.
We will now use our collective bargaining power. Instead of outbidding each other and driving prices up, we will pool our demand. In addition, we must complete pipeline infrastructure and ramp up our storage and the interconnectors. This will be our insurance policy against supply disruption. But it is also time to look at the design of our energy market. This is the question of decoupling the gas price from the overall electricity price.
The joint procurement will also be open to non-EU countries, including Ukraine, Moldova and Georgia. The IMF's executive board has approved a $45 billion loan to Argentina after more than a year of negotiations. Here's Leonardo Rocha.
The Argentine government hopes the agreement will put an end to endless speculation about the state of the country's economy and whether it might default on its debts. President Alberto Fernandez has made a commitment to reduce public spending, but he says that pensions and salaries will be protected. The governing left-wing coalition is divided over the deal, which was approved by Congress last week. The opposition says the reforms agreed with the IMF don't go far enough.
A jury in the United States has awarded $14 million in compensation to protesters injured by police in the city of Denver. The court found that officers violated the activists' constitutional rights in 2020, when demonstrations against police brutality swept the country following the murder of George Floyd. BBC News. The authorities in Northern Ireland have detained a P&O Ferries ship because of safety concerns. Officials said the vessel wouldn't be allowed to sail again until a number of problems, including inadequate crew training, had been resolved. P&O has faced widespread criticism after sacking 800 staff last week without warning and replacing them with foreign workers paid less than the UK's minimum wage. Katie Austin reports.
The Maritime and Coast Guard Agency was given the task of inspecting 8 P&O ferries before they could sail again. The European Causeway normally operates on the route between Cairnryan in western Scotland and Larne in County Antrim. Ships can be detained if there are concerns about their safety and to prevent them going to sea. The MCA said that the European Causeway had been held in Larne because of failures concerning crew familiarisation, vessel documentation and crew training. The agency added the ship would be re-inspected once those issues had been resolved.
A summit of West African leaders to discuss recent military takeovers in the region has called for democratic values to be preserved. The meeting of the regional bloc ECOWAS agreed that sanctions on Mali would only be lifted if the country's military rulers agreed to arrange elections within 16 months. On Burkina Faso, ECOWAS said sanctions would be imposed if the former president Roch Kabore is not released from house arrest within weeks. The organisers of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix say the Formula One race will go ahead this weekend, despite a missile attack on a nearby oil facility. Houthi rebels in Yemen targeted the site in Jeddah on Friday. The Ukrainian heavyweight boxer Alexander Usyk has confirmed he's preparing to defend his world titles in a rematch with Anthony Joshua. Usyk returned to his home country last month and joined the military to fight the Russian invasion. BBC News.